This is Dr. Rado Gaza, who is also in the Department of Forestry and Natural Resources. He's a professor of wood products and industrial engineering. I've asked him to give us an overview of things that you need to do when you're maintaining a boat, winterizing a boat. Because if you're going to be in an aquatics field, you're going to be working with boats most likely. Even though I will tell you, boats suck. I think the best quote I've ever heard is the best day for the boat owner is the day that you buy it and the day that you sell it.
You can find 100 lists for sailboats, big boats, small boats, and they go have a couple hundred items. And I try to pare it down so the more it is, the less likely you are to do it, right? So just really basic stuff. And I split it into 3 phases. One is trailer, another one is the boat or a hull, and then the last one is the engine. And so I made a short little list, and we will go through it. A lot of it is self-explanatory, but I do it after every trip. Usually I check on things before every trip, and then some of these things cost money. What we're going to talk about today, at least pay $1,000 in the marina to have somebody winterize your boat. But for $100 or so in parts, you can do it yourself. Big part of annual or semi-annual maintenance is to get all of the bolts and nuts loose and put back on, because especially if the motor is using a salt water, you may not be able, if you don't touch these nuts and bolts at least once a year, you won't be able to get them done. And so the next time you need to do maintenance and replace an easy, cheap part, and you cannot do it, you may need to buy a new motor because there's no way to remove it. And one of those things is a propeller, right? This is your wheels on a car. And first thing you do, you check, make sure there's no damage to the propeller, which I have never seen one more damage than this one. but because it's a student boat that runs on a wabash, right?
Yep.
It'd be crazy to replace it, even though the aluminum prop for this engine is probably $100. But what we will do, the propeller sits on a shaft that has a splines in it. One of the things that you absolutely must carry on a boat is a tool to remove the propeller. And I'll call it a spare propeller.
Really?
You getting that?
Yep. I could swear I have a new prop for this thing somewhere, but I don't know what it is. Can't find it. I just want everyone to know that as he's going through this boat, I'm sure that Dr. Gazzo is like feeling physically ill from things like this propeller and the grease that's coming out and that kind of thing.
So, what we're going to check on later, this is the engine, right? And then you got a drive shaft, and this is the transmission, like you would have on a car. When I drain this, that's a gear oil in there, thick gear oil. I put it in a clear jar, like from the spaghetti sauce or something that was washed. And I put it in a refrigerator overnight, and the water will settle. And what you're looking for is there any oil? That's what this is $3,000 just from here to here. Mm-hmm. And most damage to it will happen because there's some water in there. And if I know that there's no water in my gear oil when I drain it, I sleep a lot better. But the way that would happen is there is a seal, just like on those wheel bearings. And if you get into some fishing line, most commonly, it will fuse and melt and burn that seal, and that's how the water gets in. And so right now we're doing just clean this. It shouldn't be that hard that I had to use the hammer to get this off, but this is not bad.
Did you die a little inside when you had to do that?
Kind of. But now we will clean these lines. And put the fresh grease on it. So now this is called a backlash, it's the space between the gears, and this is quite a bit. And I think that there's a measurement for it. And another one is you're looking if the shaft is not bent. And the best way to, here's another PhD situation. See how this is just a paint peeling off the powder coating from the boat. If you hit a rock or something that broke this skeg down here, it could have also bent this shaft. And if the shaft is bent, then you get huge vibration and you destroy the motor. Basically, easiest way for the prop doctor is typical name for a propeller shop. They will look and see if there is thing worn out here that would be rubbing against this, and that's a good indication that the propeller is rubbing on one side because the shaft is bent. But this one is not. What we do normally, I wrap the string around here and I pull this, and I have a device to measure how much there's a runoff on that shaft. And you cannot see it by eye. That would be way too much. It would be just a very small amount. And there's special tools. I actually have one here, but this looks okay. Everything here looks good. Normally, there is a rubber piece between these splines and a housing of the shaft, so that you hit something like a rock in a river, that rubber will tear. And then if you look up and, oh, I still got the propeller, why is the boat not going forward? That's because that rubber piece sheared in. Sometimes they replace all this, looks like a one unit, and you'll put it back on. And so you got a stainless steel on your boat or aluminum?
Aluminum.
So these are 100, stainless steel would be 500. Boats run better because this is so soft that as you start spinning higher RPMs, these blades will flatten and they don't have the perfect shape anymore. But because the stainless is so hard, if you hit the rock, you won't damage the propeller, but you either damage the shaft or break the engine. And so it's a lot better to have these not so expensive and lower quality propellers, because you heard $100, who cares? But you know, hey, you hit the rock and the propeller stays good, but you made a couple $3,000 damage to the engine. That's not so good.
Not so good.
Pump some grease, please. Just here. You go ahead, get a couple free pumps. And so this is all I'm going to do.
Rocket science here.
Yeah, this is this. And so this is the belts and suspender approach, right? You're going to have the tabs that we bend over to make sure that nut doesn't go anywhere, but we also have a locking nut on there. I just not noticed. And you're going to need a triangle piece of wood.
Someone?
And we're going to hold it to the other side. Okay. And I'm just doing this just to get into one of these grooves. Kind of tight, but not too much. All right.
Is that kind of tight but not too much? Is that part of your rocket science?
That's right. This one, this one. One more time. I need to move this. Can you see how that's secured at nut so it doesn't come loose? These are all designed to drain all the water from all the passages in the engine block when they're vertical like this. If you leave it up and if it rains, the water collects in there, or if you didn't drain it, then you take it out of the water, then that will freeze and it will crack the block and you get problems. So now I'm fairly confident that it's empty of water.